I think like the future of online businesses are going to be, run by personal brands, right? People follow people, then they follow a brand.
I still get nervous about posting stuff online, even though I've posted stuff online for years.
Same. LinkedIn's our second highest channel for leads across my portfolio of companies. And so I think it's
the first.
YouTube.
Should we let the hair down?
Oh, just wigging out, man. There we go.
Oh, sweet. Exciting guest here, Matt Gray. Welcome to the pod. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So Matt Gray, known for giving entrepreneur advice online, but before that, he started BitMaker, the largest coding school in Canada. It was acquired for $410 million.
Yes, subsequently,
that's pretty sick. He bought herb.com, built it to a community of 14 million people, then started his current venture, Founder OS. It's a community of about 2,500 people and members launching businesses. So exciting, man. Thanks for coming. What are you in town? What are you in Austin for right now?
So we are running a founder experience in a couple of days where we have around 100 founders coming out to chop it up on building kind of media first businesses. And so helping people with content, audience growth, crafting their offer, evolving their offer, all that good stuff. So, and just good connection, people just helping one another out.
This isn't the first time you've done one of these, right?
No, it's about the fifth or sixth.
Okay. And do you make money off of these, or do you just do it to get, I don't know, hang out with other people? Or
this is a way just to bring all the community together. And we ended up kind of investing around about just shy of $250,000 into each event. So we barely break even, I don't think. Yeah.
Oh man. And so, okay. So yeah, you probably barely break even because events are hard to make money off of, I think.
Yeah. And we're not really trying to make money off this part. We have a community of, just shy of 3,000 founders. And so it's just a great chance to bring everyone together and just have some fun, help everyone kind of meet one another. I mean, there's so much magic that happens in person that you can't get online. So
let me ask you kind of a personal question. So you're not trying to make money off these in-person events. That sounds like maybe some of your sales in the past have set you up financially kind of forever. Is that correct? Or?
Well, I guess we can maybe talk a little higher level. So Founder OS is what's delivering this event. And we have one of our kind of core products is helping founders over a year with community. We help them with support. So we have founder success advisors that help them over a year go and craft their content, go and set up their kind of content GPS, which is essentially helping them funnel their audience from social to a newsletter to their given product or service, depending on what industry they're in. And so it's industry agnostic. We help SaaS founders, content creators, course providers, coaches, consultants, all that good stuff. So people are paying to be in that. And as a part of that, these are these events that we run a couple times a year at least.
And is Founder OS focused on making a personal brand for people, or or taking their business and getting their personal stuff to the business, or what's the core of that?
So at a high level, I think the future of online businesses are going to be, run by personal brands, right? People follow people, then they follow a brand. And when you start to build a personal brand, I think there's a couple kinds of brands you can build, right? There are people that just want to go solo and just build it themselves. But what I see from successful founders and people that are really looking to build something much larger is that they want to build a personal media company. So they want to be the CEO of this media company that they likely have a YouTube presence, maybe an Instagram presence, or maybe they're doing Twitter and LinkedIn and a newsletter. Inevitably, you don't want to be doing all of this yourself. Founders quit oftentimes because they suffer from burnout. And the number one reason why creators quit is because they burn out. And so the key thing is if you're going to be a founder-led brand, right, and build this kind of personal media company, you need to have the right systems in place. And then you obviously need to have the right team in place as well. And so we're helping them with all those systems and also helping them find the right team around them and make sure this whole thing runs properly so they can be the CEO of it and have it run more on autopilot versus being the one that's cranking all the content out all the time, day after day. And while that's sustainable probably for a few months, I think it's not sustainable for a few years.
I've noticed that people who already crank out content regardless, just for free, it's like a thing they have to do. For me, I just like doing it. I did it back in the day when no one made money online. And so I've been able to sustain it. But people that don't normally do it, I notice it's kind of a lift for them. Do you notice that too after seeing all these people?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, people are suffering from whether it's perfectionism or they're worried what other people think, or they don't think that they have much to say or that they have much expertise. And so there's just so many mental barriers around it, right? And I think it's helping people get over those. And then, sure enough, when they start doing it, a lot of these folks, they may be more tech oriented or product focused. And so the media side of it, while they know it's important, they're not sure how to do it in a sustainable way because it may not be like their main focus or their main strength, like me or you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still get nervous about posting stuff online, even though I posted stuff online for years.
Same.
You feel that as well?
Yeah, sure. It comes up.
It doesn't seem like that. Like if you just look at your Twitter or something like that, you're just like, oh, this guy's posting all the time. He likes doing this, but it feels weird.
For sure. I mean, I think the more you're doing it too, sometimes you're trying to get down to some, you're trying to share more of your inside systems or more about yourself or give people more of a glimpse as to your authenticity or whatever it may be. And so as you keep kind of posting, you keep kind of opening up more potentially, and it kind of keeps feeling a little uncomfortable.
You know what?
That's at least my own experience.
Interesting. Yeah, a trick that I do is I schedule stuff.
Yeah.
So for me to like wait, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're just like you feel like good and you're like I'm gonna post a bunch, and then some days I'm like I'm stupid, I don't know anything, I'm not gonna, but no one wants to hear this from me. Like you can listen to like Elon Musk or someone smarter than me talk on Twitter. You don't need to hear me, and so I don't want to post. But if I schedule it, it goes out automatically.
Yeah.
And then people interact with it, like it, and I'm like, oh, like that wasn't so bad. So for me, actually scheduling was a big thing. I don't know, like for a lot of the founders, do they use scheduling software or anything like that to post? I'm always curious about people's content systems like that.
Yeah, so it depends on the platform. I mean, on platforms like X, you can use things like Hype Fury to schedule all your content. On Instagram, you can use something called Later. That said, I think it's also, over time, you hope to have systems like, I mean, a good batching system like you're saying, right? Like I'm not looking to go and make that 8 a.m. post at 7:50 a.m. in the morning. I'd much rather, when I'm feeling creative, schedule out a few hours of deep work, slam through like a month worth of content for say X or LinkedIn in one go, have that all kind of like in a document, pass that over to my social manager to then just handle all the distribution of that for the month. So I can just basically just be more of an artist and just have these scheduled deep work sessions in a given week or month that allows me to pump out a bunch of content all at once and then just get back to living my life.
So I know you post on X, I know you post on Instagram. I think you're pretty big there. YouTube, it seems like in the last year, you've taken YouTube a lot more seriously. What are the channels that you tend to post on, or y'all just like post on everything just in case it blows up? Or
Yeah, so I started my journey on X and posting there. I had sobered up about 6 years ago, stopped smoking weed, stopped drinking, and was journaling every day, a few pages every morning, just to kind of, find a healthier habit to replace those negative habits. And then started sharing some of that writing online on X. Some of it was super cringe and shit. And then some of it really did well. And from just getting it out there, flexing that muscle and kind of like, just publishing online, right? And facing those fears. I learned like what stuff really resonated with people. And it happened to be proven systems to help founders with things like audience growth, helping them with content, helping them scale their businesses and achieve more freedom and more time in their lives. And so kind of doubled down in that area. X started growing pretty decent and then started moving that writing over to LinkedIn. And LinkedIn started scaling really fast to the point where it's at over 800,000 now. And then started taking that same kind of writing and a lot of those ideas and concepts and then bringing them to the video side of things. So moving them over to YouTube, where I think we've now got like over 140K people there. Instagram, there's like 900,000 now on IG and on TikTok and all that stuff. So just spending the first year around it, just writing first. And then, over the last couple years, bringing a lot of that to the video side of things as well.
Do you know the guy, Dan Go, fitness founder? He told me, he's like, X is the place where you want to hang out with all those people. Those are like cool friends you can make, but LinkedIn is where all the customers are. He said something to that effect, paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
Do you notice that as well? Like LinkedIn is where you reach a lot of customers, or is it?
LinkedIn's our second highest like channel for leads across my portfolio of companies. And so I think it's
the first.
YouTube.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. I mean, YouTube has like a quarter the amount of the next platform in terms of followers, subscribers, whatever. Say like 140K on YouTube, but say Instagram has 900,000, LinkedIn has 800,000. That said, it does more leads than those two platforms combined.
Wow.
Which shows just like the power of YouTube.
Are you doing a lot of short videos on YouTube?
We do a lot. I think I'm currently kind of questioning sometimes like the power of short form. I just took a couple weeks just unplugging in nature at Big Sur, California. And that was one of the things that hit me when I kind of came back. I'm like, what's like the purpose of all this short form stuff? Is this really, how's this paying off? Like, does this make a lot of sense? So currently kind of questioning like the real ROI to that and just that, I don't know, it's just something I've been kind of like questioning.
I've asked a lot of people this question. No one has any idea.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, but if you think about it, just like for my own discovery on how I discover stuff on the internet, it used to be blogs back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think short form is kind of like the new discovery layer of the internet, right? I mean, how else do you do it? So I spend time on Instagram. I don't really use TikTok that much, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
YouTube Shorts, I watch a ton.
Yeah.
And I'll see someone maybe 70 times on Shorts before I actually subscribe. But so it could be over the course of 6 months, I'm like, every time I see this guy, it's pretty good stuff. And then I go check out the YouTube channel and subscribe.
Right.
So I've noticed myself doing that. I can't help but think other people are.
Oh yeah. So we post a lot of short form. So I post one reel a day on Instagram and shorts every day and TikToks every day. I think it's just, what's the best strategy there? I've been considering kind of moving more to clips from my long form YouTube, trying to get people to more.
Oh, you're making individual short form.
Yeah, right now we're making individual short form.
Okay, that sounds hard.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. So yeah, exactly. It's instead of making individual short form, maybe moving that to more of just clips from the long form.
I think anyone I've talked to who's some sort of like video or podcast expert or something, is just like anyone who's making only short clips, it's impossible for them to make long clips out of those. Just like a compilation of short clips rarely turns into a good video. But a good long form video, which is mostly what you do, can be cut up into a bunch of clips.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way. And then you have someone else dealing with that. Because if you're making long form and short form, I mean, I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah, it's almost
a lot. For a long period of time. That must be hard.
So no, we're switching up the strategy there, I think, a little bit.
Okay. So that probably would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be clipped up into, between 5 and 20 clips, depending on what they can find.
Yeah.
And
we've been trying to just make things super native for each platform. But I think, everything evolves, these platforms evolve. And that's kind of the impetus behind even Founder OS and the things we do there is just, the reality is the spaces are constantly changing. And it's a matter of just constantly kind of staying up to date with the newest and best ways to do things.
Do you cross-post to TikTok at all?
Yeah. Everything that we put on Instagram.
Okay, or?
Yeah, we've grown pretty well there.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. And so what social channel are you focusing on in the near future? I would assume it's YouTube.
Yeah. So, the number one social channel for sure, is YouTube. I started my YouTube journey a couple years ago. I was filming videos pretty janky, but it's like a Shure mic off of like a raggedy old desk in my backyard in Puerto Escondido, Mexico. Just figured this platform's so powerful. It's an amazing opportunity. Seems like something that, I just want to do long term. And I kind of, framed it as like versus trying to get to a bunch of subscribers or to, hit some like views goal. I was like, seems like a fun craft to like master over the next decade. And told myself, I just want to make like 100 videos that I'm proud of that just share a lot of value to founders and hopefully help them out in their lives. And so, I just started filming, these pretty embarrassing videos initially. And then over time, each video you make it and it gets 10% better every single go. And, fast forward today, we've moved from publishing one per month. After 7 months of that, we went to 2 per month, and now we're doing about 1 every week on every Tuesday on my channel. And we put a lot of work into them. We have a team of, 2 video editors, a long form video producer, and then a few short form editors on that side of things.
Yeah, it looks like you put it. I could tell you have a team because when you look at the editing and stuff, you're just like, that's too crisp. And he's sending this to an editor and a whole team. Yeah. My buddy Noah Kagan, while he was building his channel aggressively, had a team of like 7 people.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny because I think most people are like, oh, it's just like one person doing it. And you're like, no, it's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
A costly full-time job.
Yeah, and I think it depends too on the kind of format and the creative you're looking to go with, obviously, right? Like for ours, we see an opportunity to kind of go really like high quality, more cinematic, and just have some fun with like the artistic side of things. So that just involves having, motion graphic designer for certain things and an animator for certain things, which are just completely unnecessary if you're just making more off the cuff type videos, right? So, your team and your kind of structure is going to depend on the creative, obviously, as well.
Nice. And then with YouTube, I'm a little conflicted. I think this is the easiest way for me to put out YouTube videos, but you're doing like the advice giving videos the whole time. And I've noticed that you don't do any interview. I think you did the Hormozy interview. And I believe that's the only one that you've posted as like a 2-person interview like this. How come you haven't explored that? Is this something you were thinking about? Is there some sort of rationale there?
So I think it's important when you're creating any kind of content strategy, inevitably like the best content strategy is the one you can stick with, right? Because all returns from creating content and growing an audience like happen over the long term. It's kind of like an investment, right? If you're just going to make an investment and then pull it out of the market 3 months later, that's probably not a good strategy. And so on my side, it's kind of this intersection between, what am I great at? What do people want to see? And then what do I just find enjoyable? Because to do something for 3, 5, 10 years, you got to be having fun, right? And kind of in your zone of genius. And so what I found is I was doing some videos on my own. I was interviewing others. I actually like Noah and Hormozy and Layla Hormozy, a lot of others. And I found that the best way to do that was like the most rich and looked the best for YouTube and I think would perform the best is what we're doing now, which is in person. And the issue is I'm traveling all the time, right? So I'm currently living out of Bali, but I travel, I'm going to be in Europe all summer and in New York in a couple of weeks, in Wyoming. Like I'm just moving around. And so this having to try to figure out like my schedule and then when am I going to be in person with people is just creates a whole bunch of chaos, number one. And so it wasn't really conducive to the life I wanted to live.
Yeah.
And the second aspect, I found sometimes that it just didn't allow me to tell the stories that I wanted to tell or share the value that I wanted to share, right? Instead, oftentimes you find yourself maybe just talking to the other person about their thing the whole time, right? So it depends on everyone's style. I think everyone has like a format and a content type that fits their life and their zone of genius. And I just found like it didn't quite fit me at this point of my life. Now, things might change. If I'm definitely not rigid about it. I think it's a great way of doing things. I just wasn't conducive to traveling around and then having to find ways to book guests in person.
I think you're absolutely right. So I originally built a 2-person setup with 3 cameras and all like a producer station and everything in my home office.
Yep.
And I thought this would actually save me time because you would come to me. We could hang out, chat a little bit, that kind of thing. Totally backfired. So at least the setup that I had. And so what happens is people would come over and then they come over a little bit early. You're chatting, end up having a conversation. Then you're like, let's go there. And then before that, a producer would get there and he would kind of like just, set up some extra lighting and stuff, get everything ready, get the person's name. There's all these like little things behind the scenes. You can't run this yourself. 3 cameras with lights going and audio. And it's like something's always going wrong. And I used to try to be the producer myself. It's impossible.
Oh no, it's super nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking.
And you screw up one thing, you're like, that was like weeks of like coordinating and doing, it's like brutal.
I look at my old episodes where I was doing that. I was even running the switchboard before. Now like AI edits all these and I had like live switching. And I was trying to like, I had this little pad and I was like behind the scenes doing that. Even that I thought would be very simple. Not true. And then I'm also trying to read these questions and interview, and there's too many processes in my brain. There's a buffer overload. It was very, very difficult. So now I come to a studio, and even just trying to get people's times down with the studio it's really difficult. Yeah. It's really hard. And to do it with like someone who's in a specific place, and if you're traveling and want to make a change, that kind of like screws everything up. Yeah, it's really hard. And then the online interviews, I know like Sam and Sean from My First Million have done a good job with doing like all remote interviews. I personally don't enjoy them. I feel like they're a little bit more draining, whereas this is like kind of fun. We get to meet, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, the podcasts are hard. So it's interesting because I've seen most people move towards the podcast format on YouTube and move away from the stuff you're doing. But in reality, I think you have a chance of building up a nice library of like advice that people can go through. And a lot of people are moving away from it, but we'll probably go back, I assume.
Yeah. And we're always experimenting with different formats. And so, an example of a format we've been playing with and we have more coming out is, I was, Ali Abdal was in Dubai at the time that I was there. And we did a video where I was helping him out with his business in just my place. And we had like a whiteboard and we're kind of just whiteboarding a bunch of ideas and ways that we could scale his business to $5 million and beyond of some new entity he was starting up. And it was a format I really enjoyed. It was a format he enjoyed. It was a bit different and it did really well. And I got a lot of positive signal from people that matter. And so that's something as an example we'll be playing more with. So it's kind of a podcast, but it's more of a, just jamming with people. And the way I see it is it doesn't need to just be big names. Like I could even just be helping like just any entrepreneur anywhere I am in the world and hanging out.
I noticed with audio, in respect to audio, I think you have a podcast feed that you like don't promote. Like you have one, but it's not like an integral part. Do you just, I'm assuming you just rip the audio from your YouTube videos and put them on?
Yeah. And we keep it simple for now. Like, I mean, down the road, I'm sure we'll make more native podcast first stuff. But yeah, again, like I think it's important, when I first got started, it was around just picking one platform and doing it to the best of my ability and like getting that to at least a 9 out of 10 before doing anything else. And then sure enough, like moved to LinkedIn, got that right, while also keeping Twitter or X really proper. And then, one by one. And I think the last thing you want to do is just try to be everywhere all the time in the best way possible. But again, just burn yourself out, right? And the thing behind the scenes, like we were just talking about, just even a simple interview like this, like it's really intricate. Like there's a lot going on to make this happen. We had a couple back and forths. You got to book this place. I got to show up on time,
Right. Questions.
Yeah, you got to get the questions and the prep going.
It's not just a random chat. There was prep. I watched a lot of your stuff. It was like hours and stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, let's just say it's 15 hours per thing. And so just to get that thing right is so much work. So I'm always careful about adding this new thing, always trying to mostly say no to things and keep the surface area of what I am doing as small as possible within reason, and then just go really deep in that area, have fun, and really flex as much as I can.
By the way, we're like 25 minutes in. Should we let the hair down?
Let's let the hair down, man. I mean, we gotta.
This is my idea. I had like one wig. I was like, it kind of looks like your hair. Actually, it doesn't look like your hair at all, but it's a wig.
Hey, listen, man. Those are fighting words.
Look, this is an old wig from Halloween from some time.
Just wigging out, man. There we go.
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
dude. This feels better.
Man, you look good.
Thanks.
That's some like Twisted Sister shit right there.
I know. I think it's like an 80s rock star kind of thing. Last minute Halloween costumes, you just put something on. And
oh yeah, man.
I got it. I can't take my eyes off myself.
I mean, I think that's the look.
I see why you like the long hair. Dude, this is way better.
Yeah, it's strong. It's strong for sure.
Oh man, I'm gonna like keep looking at myself. Wait, okay, so with the podcast,
we're just talking about all these hours of prep. It's just out the window now that the wig's on.
I need to bring this for every podcast. I will say for audio podcasts, everyone I know that does an audio only, at least nowadays, is just like, it's the hardest thing to grow. It's almost impossible. You have to have video. And then I'm seeing a couple trends. China leading the way on podcasts, by the way. US podcasts are just garbage in comparison. We just got transcripts. Obviously, AI transcription is going to be a big thing. So all your content will be in Mandarin, will be in Hindi, will be in Spanish, possibly with your lips moving the same on your YouTube videos. And the other thing is, I think YouTube is just dominating in the podcast space. People probably listen to your stuff without watching it sometimes. Yeah. And that's a podcast. So when I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, I'll listen to Joe Rogan or something. I will watch on YouTube and then just close the phone and just listen to it on my AirPods. So my podcast player is YouTube. So it almost seems like there's almost like very little point to do an audio only podcast. Noah was doing an audio only podcast every once in a while, and it's stuck at like 5,000 views. Meanwhile, his YouTube will get millions of views per video. Yeah,
and
that's it's you can't grow that.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is like when you're first starting out any, podcast, whatever it may be, right? The truth is, you got to make sure that you're fitting the message to the right medium. And when it comes to YouTube, you're dealing with a search engine, which is a lot different than Spotify or Apple Music, which when people go to those platforms, they likely already know what they're looking for. The last time you discovered like your favorite podcast on Spotify probably wasn't the case. You probably saw it somewhere else, discovered it on Instagram. Maybe you discovered it on YouTube, and then you were like, oh, I'm going to go and download a bunch of these for this road trip I'm doing or whatever it may be, right? And so YouTube being the largest video search engine in the world, you get the benefit of all the discovery. Like when you look at any video you put out there or podcast, whatever, about 60, 70% of the views potentially are from just new viewers, people that aren't on your newsletter, don't follow you on any other social platform, aren't subscribers of you. And so that's the power of YouTube, is even if you're making an audio only thing, you might as well make some sort of video version of it, because it's going to be really hard to grow on just Spotify or Apple Music like Noah's experienced.
Yeah. So let's talk about community. So I feel like communities came up a lot kind of during the pandemic. Everyone's at home. People are doing cohorts, communities. It was like a way for people to connect. Now that everyone's back in person, I think communities are still important, but I think they've lost a little bit of luster. And I've seen a lot of people move from courses to community. So a lot of people, you were talking about, you took the copywriting course like years ago, right? And it was just a course. And 15 years ago, a course was like, wow, someone packaged up information, I can see it. That's pretty cool. Now, a lot of this stuff is free. AI will actually do a lot of the things. The secret to Copywriting Course still being alive and still thriving is that we turned into like a service a long time ago, and it started from a community, like a forum. And what I realized was asking like engagement bait questions, like what software do you use? It's just like that gets tiring and boring for people really, really fast. There's no reason for you to log into a private community and answer those kinds of questions over and over. What we noticed was we just said, hey, do you have copy or a page? Like, I'll just look at it and give you my feedback. That core principle is what kept the forum alive, or it's a forum behind the scenes. No one cares if it's a forum anymore, but behind the scenes, it's a heavily modded forum, and people upload their copy, and we have professional writers and myself that go in there and update it, or just sometimes rewrite. Sometimes it's easier to rewrite it than giving people feedback on it.
That's cool.
And that's how it stayed alive. You have grown a couple of communities. I mean, obviously BitMaker was probably like a more in-person school type thing, but herb.com was like 14 million people. Your Founder OS is 2,500 people. How do you think about community? Like what's the core behind a community? Is it like in-person meetings, or how do you even think about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think every community is different depending on, the purpose of why people are coming together. For Founder OS, it's founders that are looking to achieve more freedom in their life, looking to grow their audience, looking to scale their offer, build their team.
So they already have a business, or they're looking to start a business?
We have a couple communities actually. For people that are just getting started, there's a community for them. And then for people that have already scaled past 30K per month, there's a different community for those folks. So separating people based on stage is important, I think, because you want to make sure that, there's people that are just getting going, inevitably someone that's scaling up much larger. You want to keep these things separate. So that's key. I mean, just getting the right people in the right area, right? And being discerning to say, if it doesn't belong, like don't allow them in, right? So that you get the right room of people going on. On our side, I mean, I think it's also just important, like you were kind of just saying with Copywriting Course, right? Like it kind of also just happens organically, right? Like you don't need to overthink it initially. Like you get a bunch of people in a given community, pick your platform, whether it's Slack, Mighty Networks, Skool, whatever. Like just pick one. You're probably going to change it. Like I was on Slack at one point, then we moved to Skool, and we'll probably keep evolving as we scale, right? So you pick a platform, you pick the ideal kind of avatar of person that you're going to get in there. Inevitably, the community, for us, like I was doing a weekly session in there. Now I do 2 per week. Just like we all kind of come together. There's Q&A. We're all jamming, helping one another with like different questions that come up. And then we've also kind of open sourced our team. So we have a team of around 30 people at Founder OS, and we'll take some of the key team members and they'll run instructor sessions. So it's kind of a cool way where, my head of video, right, is both delivering on all our videos, but then it's also available once per week inside of the community to kind of help people out. So you're kind of getting access, and I'm open sourcing my team, which is useful because as people are looking to build their own media company, they get to kind of see behind the scenes of who are these people and these characters.
Yeah. Also asking you about video would be dumb because you don't edit all the video.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So edit talk to the actual people. And it's also a cool way. Sometimes people think, oh, I got to have this community team and then I got my team. It's like, no, just make your team add value to the community, right? So that's kind of one thing that we've done. And then inevitably, like you kind of just start it pretty lean, right? And then you just start listening to people. Like for you, you started discovering, wow, like when we ask people, hey, do you want to get some feedback on your copywriting? Like everyone's super jazzed and that becomes a thing. In our community, it's relatively similar. Like people want help, like looking at their offer, evolving their sales pitch, these sorts of things. And so, we'll go, and there's about 10 members of my team that are founder success advisors that will get in there. And similar to you have moderators, they'll kind of like go and look at these questions as they're bubbled up, either help them online or actually just get on a Zoom call with them and give them a hand.
Is there a way that you gauge success for these? Because sometimes I'm like, okay, the number of posts, but I'm like, that doesn't necessarily, I could juice that number really easy. What's your favorite color? And you get a bunch of responses. Is there a way that you found to gauge success based on those answers? Like if someone posts a question, how do you know that was solved?
Yeah. So we have all the people on our team that are moderating, like the founder success advisors, they're all like super well trained. And so we don't like on an individual basis kind of like check off, like, was that thing solved? Like every single person is assigned around 30 founders. So, one person on our team has 30 founders that they're helping, whether online, on Zoom, whatever. And so they're just constantly making sure that person's like progressing. And then we have a person running that whole founder success team that's having like 3 times a week meetings where they're just simply going over like, okay, how are your founders doing? Is there anything that's come up? And so it's really just kind of keeping those checks and balances and having a good system around it.
Nice. And y'all are using Skool for all of this?
We use Skool.
Yeah. You know what? So I like the tech side of this stuff a lot. It's kind of like my hobby to just play around with new software.
Yeah.
And it really breaks my heart because every time I ask people like this, they do not care what platform you're on. Like Slack, Facebook group, Circle, like some people have thoughts on it, but most people don't. Have you noticed that? That's like the medium or like the platform doesn't really matter. It's more you thinking about that. Or do people say like, I love Skool, I love Circle? Do you get any of that?
I don't see it quite the same, although like that's an interesting like perspective for sure. I think, I mean, I know I'm opinionated around it. And I do think that a lot of other people are as well. Like there are certain platforms that are going to be more like, oh, I just go to this thing when I'm looking to do like, you know, be part of this community, or I'm looking just to like get this information, right? And I think that's sort of what Skool is. And then there's certain communities that you're in that you're like, I just want this in my Slack because I want to be able to go to it like just during my workday, go check it, go post something to it, like keeping it more chill that way. And I think it depends on what kind of community you're in. Like there's a platform that may make most sense for it long term.
My buddy Sam Parr has a good thing about audience versus community.
Yep.
I don't know if he made it up, but he says it all the time. And audience is like where everyone's like listening to Neville. And I say things and they all listen. That's an audience.
Yep.
A community is where they're talking to each other.
Yep.
You're almost not even in the loop. Do you notice a distinction like that? Do you think about it in those terms?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Like I mean, everything Sam said around it, I completely agree with in terms of, and I'm part of Hampton. I've seen what they're building there, and I'm obviously part of it, and it's awesome. And so it's much more self-organizing as a community. That said, he still has like the moderators that are doing the core groups, right? So there's a level of like the, you know, in Hampton, someone actually coordinating this stuff for the community or coordinating the events, right?
I think the 2025 goals go completely in person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the goal now.
Wow.
So it was Slack communities of 7 to 8 people or so, and Slack is great, but it's kind of like it. Even better is in person.
Yeah.
And so I think they're actually trying to, which is a much harder goal. And I think one of the reasons he said is it's like, that's going to be so hard for people to replicate in the future. It's not something you can just do overnight. To have chapters in 350 different cities across the world is a really, really difficult thing to emulate.
Yeah.
It'll take years, but he's like, but I'm not in a hurry anymore.
Yeah.
I think after he sold The Hustle, he was like, I'm fine money-wise now. So
yeah.
I don't need to like grow this as quick as possible. I just want to do it right.
Yeah. And I think, you know, as we think about like communities or different founder communities, like I think people can get kind of hooked on different trends, or this new platform's come out, or have you seen what this new thing is over there? And like the reality is like in any of these spaces, there's like long enduring communities that I think are the real ones to learn from. Like in that space, it's things like, you know, Tiger 21, where I think the average person has a net worth of over $100 million, or YPO, where you got to have a, you know, net worth more or less of like over 15 million. And YPO, I think, makes around $400 million a year. And has been doing that for quite some time, and is like, you know, well known and super curated. And I think in any space, I think Sam's done this. I do this. I think we all do this, right? It's like, you really want to benchmark what you're building to something like long and enduring and successful, not like that newest trend that's like bubbled up over the last couple years or something. At least that's how I approach it, and trying to create something a little more timeless, something that's going to last 10, 20 years versus that like quick hit.
Yeah. Hey, it's Neville here. And let me tell you something about making all this content. It costs time and money and effort to make all of these things, and we put them out for free. For example, to film this costs money. To edit this costs money. To spend the time uploading it to all the different social networks costs time and human capital and money and software and all kinds of stuff. And all I ask for you in return is to just like, subscribe, and comment to something. This is a free way that you can return to me. You never have to buy anything from me ever, but I really do ask that you just click the like button. It's free for you. Or maybe even leave a comment, or maybe share it with someone. These are all ways that really, really help me out, but cost you nothing. And it's a great way to return the favor. So if you like whatever I do over here, just make sure to like, subscribe, comment on all the different platforms, and that means the world to me. Thank you so much. I hope to keep informing you, educating, and entertaining. Talk to you later. Do a lot of the members of Founder OS have communities, or are they typically building audiences first? Is that their focus?
So yeah, I mean, I recommend that most founders like build an audience first, and then have that audience go to a product, oftentimes like a newsletter between those two steps. And then we're kind of like business model agnostic. So some people are building a community and then a coaching business off that, or some people are building a SaaS company. So no matter the industry, I think, you should be building an audience. You should have a couple platforms that you're scaling on. You likely should have a newsletter and be capturing these people and actually owning those emails, versus just having all the platform risk and simply relying on platforms for your audience. And then having the right funnel to go and drive people from, the email list to your actual product or service.
So I think I know the answer to this, but I assume the whole point of all the social media stuff is to get their email address in the end.
Yeah, get their email address, get the initial like audience and momentum going, right? Like kind of inevitably, you have a message, you have a movement, you have a brand you're looking to create, and you got to get discovered, right? And so I think a lot of people, they go and they launch a given product or have a business, and then marketing becomes some afterthought. Meanwhile, I think when you start with building an audience, like I know from every business I've ever created, it's from putting content out there, getting it out there. You actually learn what product it is that you should probably create. You see what content you're putting out that really resonates with people. You see people then join your email list, and certain emails really resonate with people and other ones just bomb, right? And from all that data that you're seeing from your emails, from YouTube, from X, from LinkedIn, whatever platforms you're on, you can then kind of learn the product to create. You can learn the kind of market you may be wanting to go after. And then from that, build the product. I think inevitably too, you want to get as many of those people's emails as possible for sure.
And are you sending an email out like every week or so? The standard once a week kind of email?
We started with once a week, and now we do twice a week.
Okay. What prompted the move to twice a week?
We started also just making one on Wednesday that we would do just a quick email and then link to my YouTube video. So trying to like basically cross-pollinate the audience as much as possible.
And you do really short emails too, right? Some of them are really short.
Saturday's long and Wednesday's short.
And by short, it's just like, here's my YouTube video. Check it out. Right?
Yeah, super fast.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you see super high click-through rates on those types of emails.
Super high.
Interesting. Those were the original form of newsletters back in the day, and then people started making them longer. And when I see yours like that, I'm just like, oh, I forgot that you could just send like, here's a YouTube video. Go check it out. Like, no, I don't even think they have pictures in them.
No, super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we try a lot of stuff, but seeing those work, they do well. People enjoy them. It's kind of, it's midweek. Like you're not looking necessarily to do like a massive amount of reading. It's like, hey, just inevitably the YouTube videos themselves are about 30 minutes long. So we'll just direct you right there and let you know that it dropped and move you along.
I will say, we run a copywriting company, of course, and people will approach me for like private consulting. And the number one thing right now is by and far newsletters. So mid to big companies, they already have content teams. They have 100 people plus, right? They will approach me like, how do we make a newsletter, a good newsletter? So the funny thing is not how do we make a newsletter? Most of them already have one, and it's terrible. So a lot of these are B2B companies, and they're sending out kind of what you would expect from them, like really, really bad emails that they're not bad. It's just kind of like, here's some B2B news, a random thing they saw, a random link. And then like, here's a piece of an update from the B2B industry. 14% of people use YouTube. And you're like, okay, like whatever. And so they'll approach me, and a lot of them will read my newsletter first. So someone in the company will be like, I like Neville's newsletter. How do we make a newsletter like that? And that is the most common consulting I'm getting right now is newsletters.
Nice.
So I'm personally seeing large companies be like, we are screwing up over here. We got to get newsletters. And I'm assuming just everyone in Founder OS is starting a newsletter, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like the new form of blog. It used to be everyone starting a blog. Now you're like, well, let's skip the blog phase. Let's just go straight to newsletter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, newsletters are by far like, I think the stage is like, first off, like just start collecting people's emails, stage one. Stage two is like, okay, now that you have some people there, like go and start sending, a weekly newsletter of some sort. I think there's like two general types. Like you have a more curated style newsletter. Examples of that would be like James Clear's 3-2-1 or Tim Ferriss's like 5 Bullet Friday. And then on the other side of things, you have ones like yours and mine that we publish, right? I think are like a little bit longer, more storytelling, kind of like giving people some value, but also like doing it in a more compelling, I think more long form way. That's what you do, right?
Yeah, mine's called a swipe email. It means a swipe, wisdom, interesting picture, essay, and a splurge.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've changed those over it used to be like sketch, then I made splurge because at the end it's like
I love swipe file, by the way. I always use that as a reference.
You use swipe file?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Have you seen it lately?
I mean, I saw it maybe a few weeks ago.
I've hired a partner with a developer, and we started adding stuff. So Swipefile has been around for like 6 or 7 years. I bought the domain a long time ago, and I use it mainly.
It's a good domain.
It's a great domain. Swipefile is where you collect marketing and stuff.
I knew of Swipefile, and I didn't even realize for a while that it was yours.
Really? Yeah. I decided to just make it free and not tell people it was me for the longest time. Now it's, I mean,
that's a boss move.
But ultimately
it's the hair, man. You're just making these big moves, big hair, big moves.
No, but it's actually kind of an exciting project because, and we'll talk about AI and stuff. And one thing is like AI and SEO have been going down for a lot of things. So Copywriting Course, like a lot of the SEO sliding as like AI is able to better answer a lot of questions. Meanwhile, Swipefile's SEO is booming. And so it's people are like, where did all the traffic go? I'm like, oh, it's there, baby. It's just on a different site. And we have some interesting plans for Swipefile. So what do you use it for, by the way? I'm just totally curious before I.
Well, whenever I am like making a new landing page, or I am making maybe an email sequence of some sort, I have so many references saved. And so on my Google Chrome, I have folders for copy, cool websites, whatever. And Swipefile, I think, is in my copy folder. And so I'll just like open up a bunch of tabs so I can just kind of prime my brain on like, okay, what's some good copy here? What are some good references? I have stuff on Pinterest. I have stuff on My Mind. I have stuff on Swipefile. And then I look at all that stuff and then kind of go, okay, I'm going to go make my landing page now or whatever.
Yeah. It's funny. That is the exact concept of what Swipefile is, because we write copy with so many people. And it's like, we want to make a landing page and we go like, let's try to get an idea. So we'll go to the landing page section. These are all landing pages I've literally collected myself. So I kind of know them. And we're like, oh, that's the style, like 12 reasons to buy X. And like, okay, boom, that's the idea. Get off Swipefile. We're done. Like it served its purpose.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the purpose. It's hard to explain to someone that doesn't create a lot of content, the purpose of Swipefile, but marketers tend to really like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's important with any copy and really like anything, but when it comes to copy, it's like you always want to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So you have references there from like Ogilvy or Joseph Sugarman or like the best ever. And then specific types, whether it's, like a blog reference or an email or an ad they've done from back in the day. And so you might as well stand on that to then create your creative versus just like off the top of your head, just making something up.
Well,
At least that's my style.
My problem with Swipefiles that I would find before was it was all old stuff, right? It was all like, here's the Gary Halbert 1975 newsletter. I'm like, well, we live in a different era. Like Gary Halbert didn't have a phone. He didn't have a video on his phone, right? So it's like Gary Halbert would have updated his methods.
Right.
And so that's why Swipefile was born, because like a modern digital Swipefile.
And how often are you adding new stuff to it?
There's currently 3 a day that go, and we have a hopper that's always full. So there's 3 a day, between 3 and 10 times a day. And by May, we'll actually have 10 pieces a day. But here's the thing. I hired someone in the past to just add a lot of stuff. The goal is not to add a lot of stuff. So if you want Swipefile examples or email examples, go to Pinterest, go to Google Images. There are billions. Go to Facebook Ad Library. You will find an endless supply. The goal is not to show you 10 million things. It's to show you like 3 things that you really like.
Nice.
Or just 3 scrolls of a page, and then you go, oh, that's an interesting idea. For example, like when I've hired people in the past, they'll just collect old ads. And I'm like, that's cool, but there's other things that you draw inspiration from. So for example, I'll go and see a billboard and be like, oh, that's so interesting. And then you get this idea of how to relate that to something that you're doing. Like I said, it's difficult to describe to people that don't make content, but like when you see some totally unrelated idea and you go, oh, that would be cool. Or you see a pop-up ad that has like an interesting title and you're like, oh, I could use that for my homepage. So that cross-pollination of ideas is where it's at. So what we've been doing with Swipefile is I'm the main editor still, and that will probably change soon, but we'll put my commentary on it. And then we have AI commentary, which is getting really good. The AI commentary, I've actually stopped writing as much content because the AI commentary gets it right better and can do a lot more things now. And so we have I could show you off this call whenever. There's some cool stuff coming around the corner on that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's growing really fast. We also do a thing where people who want to be authors on there will go take all their best stuff and publish it. And then I determine what goes on the site. So there still is like a sensibility of like, this all passes through Neville, but at some point that will probably have to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to change.
Yeah.
Because it's actually really easy to review stuff and be like, this is good, this is good, this is good.
Yeah, exactly. And the question is just, sometimes I find with these things too, it's just like, how do you just make your job easier, but keep you as the creative director of it? I feel like sometimes like they'll quickly lose their magic a bit, depending, like, but it's hard. Like, I mean, you're one of the best copywriters out there. So suddenly it's not getting like that, like really exquisite, like curation. And I feel like that's so important, especially for that, I think
it's about taste. Like,
oh yeah.
Like what the taste is the crucial thing. The thing I've been really good with Swipefile about, that me and the developer are good about, how do we automate everything that sucks? So like, if I have to like,
that's good.
Okay, here's an example. File names. For SEO, long-term reasons, if I'm going to post a picture of Matt Gray at a podcast studio, I'll name it, I'll get it on my desktop, call it Matt-Gray-podcast-studio, filming-Neville, whatever, then upload it. That took me a few seconds of time and thought.
Yeah.
And that's really annoying when you're doing this 100 times in a row. That's a lot of effort. So we're like, how do we automate this? And then we create a way to automate it to where that's not even a problem anymore. And you're like, oh, well, now posting 14 things a day is actually not as hard as it used to be. So I think the automation stuff is going to make it a lot better pretty soon.
That's what I like to do too. When I have these kind of like little projects or things going on, it's before I just delegate like the core magical part of it, I try to just write down like a frustrations list. Like, what is every part of this general thing? And it could be as stupid as file names or the organization is, or having to answer these like author request emails or whatever. It's like, let's just document that all into like a Google sheet and then understand, okay, these are the things I hate doing in this thing. Who can I either eliminate some of this stuff or can I delegate to someone on my team so that, I can just stay that kind of curation taste guy, but then all this other stuff that just annoys me is just gone.
There's a lot of talk about AI automating things. Traditional programming can automate some of the most things. Here's a cool example that blows everyone away when I show it to them, especially other people that have blogs where they have comments. So we'll post a newsletter, and if 100 people reply, I have to now reply to 100 emails. Here's the problem. That email just goes to one person. So sometimes I'm like, I can't reply to 100. I got other stuff to do. I can't reply to all these. However, I was like, if this goes on my blog and it's publicly available for other people to see, perhaps I would take more time to put this out because other people will see it in the long run. This will benefit me and them by me giving them a better response and me being able to make a piece of content out of it. And so we built a scraper that goes through my email, finds all the same subject lines, puts them in like an autoresponder for me, and I can go and respond to everyone. It has their name, their email, and their comment. And I can just go and at the end, click save on like 20 comments, and it posts their comment, my comment, posts the comment, their comment. And so it looks like I have gone through and systematically responded to hundreds of comments, when in reality, I did do that, but all at one time. And that kind of thing would have taken me hours and resulted in no comments. Now I have a blog post with hundreds of comments that I responded to well.
Wow.
And so like automations like that go a long way. So I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah. It's kind of like a simple thing that allows you to do so much more. So that's exciting to me. So speaking of a lot of this stuff, how have you been using AI? Do y'all use it at all in your day-to-day, creating videos, anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things we do, but one thing I find myself using regularly is like just basically organizing Claude in each content type that we have, making a Claude project for that given content type. So, there's the YouTube script writing one, there's the landing page copy one, there's the, short video.
So you got a different projects
for each.
Interesting.
Yeah, because then I can go and I can create a knowledge base that has my best copy ever for that thing. It has my best videos ever for that thing, or references from me. It has the best references ever made around that thing. It has our brand, and then whatever else is relevant to that content type. So that, I think that's how I prefer to organize it. So then I just have this whole project of all just like these unique types of content, probably like 25 of these, with their individual project knowledge bases for each, with the right references for that given content type, and then long prompts like that are like 4 or 5 pages long, that give people, everything, or gives the AI like everything I need for it, and then who's the customer they're talking to, the pain points, the dreams, the desires, their dream day, like just trying to really give as much context as needed, but not more than that. I see people sometimes that have just like one project in Claude with just a bunch of crap in it. And I think I don't think it's good or good practice to like have it navigate a bunch of stuff and try to discern what makes sense and what's not. So that's why I kind of like just have them all separately.
Interesting. Do you use it to write at all? Or is that still something you personally like to do?
Well, it depends on what we're writing. I'll for certain like email sequences, I'll get help like with initial drafts, but based on, I've written a book. I have millions of words that are in the project knowledge of my writing. So it's simply just like reorganizing that kind of stuff and making sure it's in like a proper email sequence format. So I did this recently over the holidays, like just about 5 months ago, and created like probably like around a 200 email sequence kind of funnel thing, like someone comes in, when they apply, they get this sequence. When they drop out of applying and abandon that, they get these sequences. When they book a call, they get these sequences. When they abandon a call, they get these ones, like when they've gone dark for a bit. So like just a massive map of just all these email sequences. And for me to do that myself would have been like a month project. I was able to get it done in like 2 days, which was like amazing. And so, and it's now like that email sequence and what we built there, that does more applications or revenue than like YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram combined. And so it's like super powerful, and it was done super efficiently. And then from there, we can always improve it more. So it gave me like a solid first draft.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ground floor seat to this because we run literally a copywriting company, right? And what I've noticed is there's kind of like 3 levels of copy that I'll categorize it: low level, medium level, high level. High level is like Mark Andreessen pontificating on Twitter about like experiences and VC and stuff like that. That's difficult for AI to completely replicate at this moment. Medium level is like what you're talking about, an email going out to a sequence. AI is pretty good at that. In fact, probably very good at this point. Low level, it's got down perfectly. And that's like a notification from a dentist's office that your appointment is the next few days. That's just literally taken care of, done. So the high level stuff is still like that human taste is still the stuff that's not replicable at the moment. This stuff is all 2 years old. So in 3 years, let's have this conversation again. I might change my mind.
For sure.
But yeah, that seems to be the case. Now, you ran BitMaker. It was like a coding school, right? And then it was sold. Does that still exist now in the age of AI, or has that been just like, has that industry been decimated now that like AI can write pretty good, reasonable mid-level code?
Yeah, I think with all these things, like I personally think that AI is it's just a productivity tool, right? And so like there's always new tools and things that come out, and for people like us that are building things, it just becomes this other tool in our toolkit that just allows us to like make things faster, make them better, make them just think bigger, right? And so I don't think it like makes these things obsolete. I think now it becomes like another tool that people want to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And so you no longer, I created BitMaker 15 years ago. You no longer probably create something that's just going to teach people by hand to like code Ruby on Rails, JavaScript, all that. You're probably going to go and, help them learn these more vibe coding tools.
Yeah.
And help them go and more efficiently use that, and then, refactor like their code and just be stronger with those tools now. So I just feel like tools change over time.
Yeah.
And now, what would take one person to code, a month, now you can use these new tools, and if you know how to use them right, you could probably get that done in a day. So I just think the tools change.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting to watch. Even with Swipefile, we've been using a lot of AI coding stuff for stuff that like calculators and generators and stuff that used to take like, it was just tedious to do. A human would sit there writing the logic. Now you can just be like, describe a thing, calculate this based on this. It'll figure out, all the math and everything, and it'll just do it. And it often one-shots it. Not all the time. It still gets it wrong, but once again, we're only 2 years in. Yeah. So it does make a lot of those things go so much faster that it's kind of ridiculous.
There's one tool I found recently that's like, it's such a simple tool, but it's such a game changer. On that side, it's like an AI voice recorder type thing. It's called Whisperflow.
Okay.
I have no affiliation with these things at all. But you simply just press like the function key on your computer while you're in any text window, and you just talk to it, and it will write out everything that you're saying. like perfectly.
Okay.
So like say you're on Slack, you need to send someone a message, like you just press that, you just talk through it. Or if like you need to send an email, you just talk through it. Like it's just so fast at just transcribing your voice in like a perfect way and formatting it immaculately. So you don't need to type like, I try not to type like almost at all. So oftentimes like we talk about taste, right? Like I'm editing, say my designers are putting forth like Instagram carousel designs and I got to go and leave like Figma comments on all these designs and go, hey, this or that, or move this there, or this word should be that, or don't put that, put this. So you're like commenting and then writing it out and whatever, it is what it is. But now it's just like, click the thing, go to function. Hey, this doesn't look quite right. We should put this there, put that there. Cool, done, next. It's just so fast.
Do you ever use the Mac built-in voice feature? Is it similar to that?
I don't know that one, so I couldn't compare it to that.
I use that all the time, yeah.
Okay.
It's similar. The one thing, when you said that, I'm not sure if it does this, but like I will say something, I'll just like a stream of conscious thought. The problem is it writes it as a stream of conscious thought.
No,
so it's like a long-winded.
No, this will like format it. This will even like,
that's cool.
When you're like, yo, this is amazing. I love this design. It'll put like an exclamation mark on it and make it perfect.
Okay,
and you're like, wow, like this is amazing. So hands down, that tool I've just discovered over the last like couple months, but I'm like, this is so simple, but so powerful.
That's, that's actually funny. I was talking about that comment thing that we talk about. So when I'm going through those, I'm like, man, this would be so much fast, because I type pretty slow, like 80 words per minute. It's not very fast. And but I can speak way faster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I just dictate this in my Mac? And my Mac does transcribe it, but it always comes out funky. Then I have to go back and edit it. So that's a cool use.
Well, the thing I like about it too is, I mean, we both know about coffee. It's like the best coffee. It sounds like you write like you speak.
Yeah.
And so if you're just able to kind of speak the way you do and just be authentic that way, it's like suddenly it just feels like, you're not being overly formal, and even how you're talking to your team or in Slack or whatever. It's just press the button and talk, and it just comes across super authentically and normal. In
the beginning of the copywriting course, this is literally the main thing I would tell people. It's like, write like you speak. You would never write like, dear sirs, to whom it may concern. No. You would write, just like, hey, this is what our company does. And it was like, literally say that. So that is a good point. Do you teach your team copywriting at all, or writing, or do you hire people who are already good at it? How do you hire for people that are like creating content for you?
So there's always like different ways we do things. So, I mean, it depends on the content type. So like YouTube, I do all that myself. X, I do all that myself. And then I have someone like then repurpose it to LinkedIn. For short form videos, I do most of that. And then newsletters I get help with. So in terms of say newsletters, that's something where like I was writing it myself for the first like year and a half. And then ended up finding a guy, Nils, who I've worked with for the past couple of years.
Wait, this name sounds familiar. Is he's like a famous guy?
No.
Oh, never mind.
No.
Okay.
A young guy out of Sweden. And so Nils and I have worked together for a while, and it's just sort of a matter of like, he's then writing a newsletter and then I'm editing it heavily, and like through just like shadowing me, and I have like a checklist of like 2 pages of like all the things you should be aware of before anything gets published, just like make sure all this shit's true. And I feel like with anything, as a founder, CEO, like you're the chief detail officer. And if you really care about like the taste, the quality of what's going out, like you are pretty maniacal about, every little detail. And eventually once you've done that and been that tight with that person for say a few months, it starts to just become like ingrained in their brain. They can probably hear your voice as like they're writing the thing, and then they're like, okay, I get it. Like this wouldn't fly. He doesn't do this. We wouldn't tell that kind of story. And then sure enough, like, a year later, like you can more or less just take your hands off the wheel and like let it run.
But that's interesting that you still do all your own Twitter and everything, because I was looking for someone for a little bit more social media help, perhaps, because currently I make a lot of it, or of it, pretty much most of it, with the exception of LinkedIn and stuff. Maybe I'll like tweak it a little bit, but it's hard to find someone to write in your voice exactly and think like you. I've never been able to like really find someone to just like completely take that over. It also feels weird to me. I don't know about you, but
it's tricky. So I think it just depends on, it's again, like what are those, I've tried delegating some of these things before, and certain things you can, it just depends on, just like the level of quality and taste. And like if it's important that like you want, your voice to come through and you want it to sound like you may find like that's pretty tricky with some things.
But here's another one. And this one's harder to explain. I feel jealous. Like I like writing content. I like making it. And when they are making, I'm just like, I bet I could do this better. I want to do it. Yeah. It's almost like, I would say like a hobby. Yeah. And so even though it's like work sometimes, it feels like I need to do this. I still have to do that. So
when I reflect on this kind of stuff, like, I mean, I think everyone has their own like what's their superpower, right? I feel like for both of us, it is the writing, it is the content. And so for many people, that's like the third or fourth thing on their list. Yeah, they should probably just get that off, get someone who's amazing at that, just to take it over for them. I feel like for us, like the highest ROI thing we can generally do for our companies is probably to still be really intricately involved in the actual creation. So I've tried delegating some of these aspects, and eventually I kind of come back to, hey, why don't I try and delegate other stuff around me? Delegate all operations, remove myself from all the like day-to-day of the company, and just allow myself, like every day I wake up and I get my iced Americano and have a few hours just to like do some writing, whatever it may be. Maybe it's, currently writing a book. It could be, working on some new landing page stuff, but like that's going to be the highest ROI stuff, because me writing something, say a YouTube video and a concept, is going to perform 10 times better than me just getting someone else to do that. Plus all the back and forth and everything's just annoying.
Yeah. So we'll start wrapping it up here, but like just something like a personal level, you seem like a kind of like a Zen dude. Was that always the case? Like, were you always like that? You seem like you're pretty into like nature, all that kind of stuff. Was that always the case, or is this like a new thing?
Oh no, definitely not. No,
you kind of look like it too.
There we go. And so, no, I when I was like 20, 21, starting BitMaker and everything, I think building a business can be one of the most like stressful, lonely things you can do, especially if you don't have like the right network, good community. And so, I found myself like smoking weed a lot, drinking a lot. Then I started Herb, which is a cannabis community. And so, you just have free weed being sent to you all the time. And it became a bit of a problem. I was smoking like 12, 15 joints a day.
Good Lord.
A lot.
Well, you probably just had like a super high tolerance.
Yeah, that and just like was pretty just addicted to it, to be honest. And so that was like 6 years of my life, probably at least. And then I randomly realized I was like DMing Huberman because I was asking some questions around some stuff early on, and he was like, I learned that that cannabis breaks a chain between DHEA being converted into testosterone. So essentially, like cannabis, reduces your testosterone. And testosterone is the chemical in humans that makes effort feel good. And I'm like, man, we're working all the time, we're building businesses, all these things, and then to have like this chemical that's so important be so low, it's like, oh, not good. So sobered up, stopped drinking, stopped smoking weed years ago. And I feel with all of that, like gradually started tapping into like who I am, what I'm about, what do I enjoy, helping founders, building systems, traveling, being in nature, meditating, whatever the hell the things are. And so, it's a bit of a journey. And candidly, I just got back, I guess just yesterday, from like 2.5 weeks, just in Big Sur, just on the coast there, just in nature. So
like when you say that, would you mean like you rented like an Airbnb there, or like?
Have you heard of like Esalen before?
Oh yeah. The really kind of like, I don't want to say hippie, but like kind of.
Yeah.
That area.
Yeah. So I was there. Oh. Yeah. Just like posted up there in like a little lodge for 2.5 weeks, writing, reading a bunch, kind of inspired by, the idea of like a think week from like Bill Gates or something like that, just get a bunch of books, go and chill out, go write, go think. Started just kind of thinking about like, what's the most important things over the next decade I need to get, I want to do.
Yeah.
How's that come to like 3 years, 1 year? And just trying to really think about like, what's the biggest domino in my life in all the different areas of it, whether it's like family or, business, finance, whatever. What are the key things that I need to focus on? So it was just nice to like really unplug and be able to think through things, and came back with just like tons and tons and tons of
Was there no
insights.
Tech? Or do you still have a phone?
Light tech. Light tech. Yeah, I'll use a little here, there, but it's very purposeful. Like I'm using a Kindle to read, or I'm, writing a book on my computer.
Not full Amish, but yeah.
Yeah, not full Amish. Yeah. No, giving myself some. We don't need to go totally off of it. But
are you still involved with Herb then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but very much, like 10 minutes
weed?
a month.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was part of the inspiration for Founder OS, was like I had taken this business. I realized that cannabis obviously has been a large part of my life, but in terms of when I started diving into my calling long term, it was really to like help founders. I believe that like the founder experience can be incredibly difficult, and I wanted to create a brand, a community that would help founders really tap into like their calling in life, help them scale themselves, and inevitably help them remove themselves from the operations of their companies the same way that I had been able to with Herb. And so the previous 3 years, I had spent my time kind of building a great leadership team, building the right systems in place, reducing my working hours from like 60 hours a week, which was like killing me, to just like 15 minutes a month. And so we have a great leadership in place, all the good systems, all that, and it just kind of runs itself now as like this autonomous little business. And so that's what I'm passionate about. I've done the same now with Founder OS, and passionate about setting up these kind of portfolio companies that basically run themselves, and I just kind of run the media side of things.
Huh, interesting. That's been a wild ride, seeing just like in my lifetime where weed was like public enemy #1, to where it's like there's literally like 50 trucks outside selling it.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't even think it's legal in Texas, but you could just sell versions of it, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, that's been a crazy journey.
Interesting. I have seen a lot of people. I feel like weed's an interesting one. Like on one hand, it seems like a harmless kind of like someone's just doing it on the couch. Like, who's that hurting? So on one hand, I'm like, that's cool. But I do think there's like an insidious side of it where I've seen a lot of people just become too complacent with life. And not everyone, like everyone reacts to it quite differently. But I've seen that where it's just like, it makes a bad time okay. So you can just be in a crappy place watching TV by yourself, nothing really going on. But if you smoke weed or something, you're just like, hey, this is a good time. But in reality, especially like maybe it's like a young dude or something, you should be angry that like you live in a shitty place, because that anger or frustration will make you want to go further than that. So that's been an interesting journey where I saw going from like vilified to accepted to maybe like too accepted, to where like everyone was doing it all the time, to maybe back to like a more rational place of like, it probably shouldn't be illegal, but it also should be like alcohol, where it's just like moderation. It's probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's with anything. I think like all us humans have our vices. We all have like things that like are kryptonite, and for some people it's sugar, for others it's drinking, for some it may be smoking. And I think it's just being conscious of that. You know, I know, again, for years of my life, I was just like unconscious and just kind of, just ripping it.
Did you ever get fat? Or you've always been a skinny guy?
Like, for the most part, I've been skinny. There was one point in my life I got a little fat, like for like 6 months. But other than that, no, I've been pretty good that way. But it was weed, and weed was really the kryptonite.
There's munchies and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but no, just smoking a lot, which is not good for you.
Nice. Yeah. How do you stay fit now? Is it like, do you do no sugar? Do you do any of those things?
Yeah, I just try to keep like to a core group of like, I guess call them streaks, that I just try to keep up and like not break the chain.
Like what?
There's an app I use. It's literally just called Streaks, and it's got like 6 different habits in it. It's like, I read every day, I write every day, no sugar or bread, just because that's how I like to do it. Workout, like /lift, stretch daily, and meditate. And so I just do those 6 things every day. And I know if I'm basically doing those like fundamental habits daily, that I'm like chilling. So that's what I focus on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I try to do a similar one where I identified everything that makes me fatter or anything that makes me unhealthy. And for me, it was always like, I actually eat really healthy for lunch and dinner. I typically don't eat much for breakfast. Not against it. I just don't really eat in the morning. And then it was always at night. It was always past 8 p.m., 9 p.m. that I'd be like, there's a little Greek yogurt and some berries and some apples and some peanut butter. Next thing you know, I've eaten 400 or 500 calories when I already had my calorie intake for the day. Mm-hmm. And so that was the difference between me getting fatter the next day and me getting skinnier. Mm-hmm. And if you kept consistently doing that, like that, just a few extra 100 calories, like very, very little, even like seemingly like healthy stuff does have calories, and I would go overboard like that and slowly gain back weight. And I've implemented a rule recently, just like I'm doing like, beach bod kind of cut. I was like, just let's not eat after 8 p.m. With the exception of like, if I'm going out on a Saturday night and we're at a restaurant, I'll go till like 9. I didn't cut out alcohol. I didn't do anything like that. Maybe reduce alcohol. But if I just stopped eating by 8, my diet was always good.
Nice.
It was just like the one domino, like you mentioned. I was just like, for me, that was my main problem. Now, for other people, they don't have that problem. Yep. For me, the snacking and everything just happened at night.
Yeah.
And so I just removed that. And like that one thing, if I just check it on my little box, I got like just some hand-drawn boxes.
Yeah.
That solves all problems.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild.
Yeah. And I think it's like that with most things in life, like any given area of our life, it's like you want your business to double. It's like, what's that one hire that you need to make? Or like you're looking to grow an audience and get it to a certain amount. It's like, what's that one kind of content or that one platform you need to focus on? Or with your health, it's oftentimes just like, that one thing that's screwing you up. For me, it maybe was drinking, or for you, it's late night eating or whatever, right? So it's just identifying that one thing and then just like focusing. Because sometimes we just end up with a laundry list of like 10 things we want to change and end up getting none of them done.
I used to do that all the time. The streaks with like 10 different things on it. I would do it, and it works for about 2 days. And then the third day, you break one thing or the weekend comes around.
Then
you're like,
screw it.
I'll screw one day up. And then it just every single time falls away. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, dude, this is a great conversation. Thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it, man. How can people, find you? Yeah.
Yeah. Just find me Matt Gray on any platform. And then founder us at founderus.com. And looking good, man. I love this.
Dude, what about this? This looks pretty good too. Like the ponytail look. Man, I need to do this more often. I see why you do it. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, it's Nelson Lador here. You may see me from some of this content and wonder, what does this guy do? So my main thing we have is called copywritingcourse.com. All it is it's a simple video course that trains you how to become a great copywriter, write better emails, sales pages, promotions, email sequences, all those types of things, but also it is part service, meaning we have this really advanced behind the scenes forum where you can upload your stuff and myself and other writers will go improve it. And the easiest way to improve stuff for us is just rewriting stuff. So let's say you have a cold email that you're reaching out to thousands of people with. You upload that, give us some background information, and we can go rewrite it in the way that we see people get better conversions every single time. So you're getting myself, professional writers, and the community giving you suggestions saying, hey, I think that's more confusing. What if you write it this way? A lot of times I prefer just rewriting the whole thing and sending it to you, maybe making a couple of images to put in there. And then the other thing we do is we have live weekly office hours. That means every week, a couple of people, just a small portion, come on to calls with me live, and we go through about 8 questions each time. Now, just remember, only about 1% or less of the community will ask a question on each office hours. So you will get time to chat directly with me. And I do these myself. So we'll talk to people for 5 to 20 minutes each, going over their stuff. And the cool thing is, let's say I make some recommendations. You can go make those changes and then come back the next week and be like, what do you think of these? And then we can modify it more and more and more until you get it nice and tight and solid. So that's what the copywriting course is. It's self-paced training. It's live forum, live office hours. And what our goal is whatever you spend on us within that same year, you get 10x or more back. So if you spend a certain amount of money, my goal is always that my training and help will make you 10x more back. Now, I can't always prove and guarantee that, but at the same time, this happens with so many people that it's always my goal with customers. So go to copywritingcourse.com and join. And I hope you're pleasantly surprised with our service. People say it's the best course community that they've ever joined in their entire lives. So I hope you have the same result, and I'll see you inside. Take care.